Alright, here we go. Alright guys, welcome to a new video on the 2004 DVX 400. As you guys know, a couple subscribers dropped this quad off and they said that it wouldn't start and that they heard a loud click and it just shut off when they were riding it. So I took it apart and we found out that it had every single valve bent on it and they were really bad, so I took them out and put them in this bag. And you can kind of see how bad they were by looking at this. That's flat on the table, and you can see that's angled that way really bad. We put these in the drill last video, and I showed you guys how bent they were, and they were extremely bad. So we ended up ordering all new valves. They're in the box right there. We got a brand new gasket kit, and then we've got a cam chain for it because we found out last video the cam chain was stretched really bad on this thing. And I'm pretty sure that was the culprit as to why this thing, I think, skipped time and bent the valves. Piston and the cylinder look really good though. Rings are good, cylinder's good. No damage to the cylinder or the piston at all. We can take a look at the cylinder over here. Not a single scratch on this baby. So we can just put this back in. Zero damage. One thing the owners of the quad did say was that the bottom end was rebuilt by somebody else. And they've been having problems with this thing ever since. So I'm not sure if the guy did an incorrect job on the bottom end, but we're going to put everything back together and see if it runs and drives good. And that will be today's video. So stay tuned. Hopefully we can get this thing all reassembled, start it up, and take it for a test drive. Because I'm interested to see if this thing will run right once we get it back together. I'm not really sure the culprit, but I'm pretty sure it was a timing chain being stretched. So we'll see if that fixes the problem. I think first thing we're going to do on this thing is drain the oil and then take the cover off so that we can get the cam chain replaced, which is right there. I think the guide has to come off in order to get that on. So let's get started with that and then we'll work our way to the valves, get those lapped, and I go from there. So stay tuned. Should be a pretty fun video. Alright, we're going to start by draining the oil out of here. Get the oil out, there's a bolt right down here. So let's see if we can get that off. Getting that pretty far under. Alright, we can see the oil draining out down here. I'm just going to kind of feel it and see if there's any metal chunks in it. There shouldn't be, because the piston looked good. Nope, perfectly smooth. So we're good to go there. So we'll let that drain a little bit and then we'll take off the side cover. Alright, we'll take the oil filter off first, I think. Check that out. Just see if there's any metal chunks in there or anything. And it looks like that oil's pretty good. Got the spring in there. And then got the oil filter right here. So it looks like a brand new filter in there. So that's good. Oil looks really good. Let that drain out a little bit. I'll try to get this side cover off of here. Move these bolts off around here. Alright, let's try to get this lever off of here. Alright. Brake lever coming off here. Let's get that spring off there as well. And that can actually just sit there while we get the rest of it off. Alright, let's see here. Got one right here. This one's actually ground. So this cover should come right off. Looks like we've got all the bolts off. I don't believe that one's holding anything on. Alright. Alright, that came off really easily. Ooh, bunch of coolant in there. Alright, put that up to the side. Alright, everything's looking good now. So, in order to get the cam chain on, we gotta get underneath this gear right here. So that means the clutch has to come off first in order to get that gear off of there. So, and then you've got the guide right here as well that needs to come off, I believe. So let's get the clutch off here first, work on that, and then we can try to, oh that, what the heck, that's really loose in there. Look at that. What the heck? This nut was like extremely loose on here. Jeez. You just twist that right off. Wasn't torqued down at all. Wow. That's crazy. Look at that. So I wonder if somebody replaced the timing chain once before. Because man, that is really loose. That's horrible. So that could have caused a ton of damage if that came off. Reverse thread? Oh yeah. So it's reverse thread. That's good to know. But yeah, let's get the clutch off before we take anything else off. I just want the clutch top plate to come out. Clutch rod. That needs to come out, looks like. There. Push that down. Alright, then we'll crank that off, get the clutch off next. Alright, we got our 27mm socket. Gonna hold the clutch here. Zip that guy off of there. There's the nut. Here's the washer. And then the whole clutch should just slide right off. Make sure nothing falls. Now, just gonna kind of inspect everything in there. Make sure there's no broken gears or anything. Everything looks pretty good. That spins smoothly. Everything's looking good. Look how loose that is. That's so crazy. So this is already off of it. This is the nut that was loose on there already. This gear can come off. That has a Woodruff key right there on it. Don't lose the Woodruff key. Gotta get the cam chain tensioner off. I can just pull that through. I don't know if we have to come all the way off with it, but it's okay. Cam chain coming out. And we'll compare this one with the new one and see how stretched it is, because I have a feeling it's stretched pretty good. But either way, it was good that we had to come in here because that nut was really, really loose on here. So eventually it would have come off and then ground everything up in here. So that's really good. Let's see if the pump is working too. May as well check that. Yep. You can see the oil pump is working. Pumping out the oil. Let me spin this. So that's good to check the oil pump too, because without the oil pump, nothing would get oil, and then it would overheat and burn up the piston and the bottom end as well. So, all right, cam chain out. Let's go compare. So this one's the old one, right here. So here's the brand. See if it looks any better than the old one. Kind of see how stretched this one is here. You can see it was stretched a little bit. Probably about a tooth stretch there. Let's see. You can see it comes down probably half a centimeter lower. So it's definitely stretched. So it's good that we're replacing that. But the new one we'll install next. Get that on there, and that'll be done. All right, new cam chain going in. There we go. Let that hang like that. Cam chain guide. Get the Woodruff key in first. And we'll get that crank down. All right, cover is all back on, good to go. So I'm pretty sure the culprit was the nut backing out, and because there's that Woodruff key in there, the cam chain would be in a different position when it's timed. So I'm guessing that's what happened, because that little sprocket connected to the cam chain would move if that Woodruff key was removed. So I'm guessing because the Woodruff key was backed out, because of the nut was backed out, that cam chain sprocket was just moving freely, and I'm guessing it was timed incorrectly, and then when the piston came up at the wrong time, hit the valves, bent the valves, and caused the problem. So whoever did the bottom end, I think forgot to torque down that nut, and that's what caused the problem. So anyway, at least we found the problem and the culprit. So let's move on to the valves next. We've got 4 brand new valves. Bought these off of eBay. They're Kibble white valves. Precision machining. So these look pretty good. They said they're supposed to be better than the stock valve, so we'll see. So let's just take a look at the valves. We do have to lap them in. We can see those are pretty nice. This says KPMI on it right there. There's one of them. Ooh, those are nice and shiny. I think these were like $120 for all 4. It's not too bad. Typically when you buy OEM ones, they're like 50 bucks, or like 40 to 50 bucks a piece for each valve, so these are pretty cheap considering. Ooh, those are nice. Let's see if those fit in there. So go in here. Oh yeah, those are gonna look great. So we'll get those lapped in. Those are gonna be really nice. All right, we got some valve grinding compound. We're going to start with this one first, so we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just get some compound on there. Stick this guy in there. And we'll grind away. You can see the color change right there all the way around. When I look for any imperfections in that, make sure it's all the way around. Looks good. So that one's lapped in. Get the residual valve compound off of here. We'll clean this off later as well, but alright, that one's done. One valve done. A couple more to go. Alright, we got the valves in, looking pretty nice. And then I changed out the valve seals. These were the old ones in there. So we got those out, replaced them. Everything looks great. So this is ready to be installed back onto the machine. So if you guys want to see the process on how to do that, check out last video. Basically we took these off with the valve compressor, and then to put them back on, you just do the opposite. You just tension them down, put the springs on, then put those little pins in. Alright, let's get the base gasket on. Like this. Chain comes through. You're going to make sure the rings are in the correct spot. Make sure they're at least 180 out. So that ring gap is over there, that ring gap is over here. So that's good. And then you want to make sure that the ring gap for the oil rings are spaced out, and those are. So we're good to go then. Rings nice and lubed up here. We'll get the cylinder lubed up. Make sure that cam chain can come up here. Alright. Head gasket going on. Let's see if this is the correct position for it. Torque specs for the cylinder bolts are 33.5 foot-pounds, so let's get that done. Crisscross pattern. Alright, those are all done. Alright, so we've got the machine set to top dead center right now at the T mark. The piston I checked is at the top of the cylinder right here. So we're going to temporarily install the cams, and we're going to try to shim this thing right here. Get that in there temporarily. Obviously we have to set the timing and everything, so. So the timing marks I'll show you guys here in a little bit, but right now we're going to look at the valve specs and then test the clearances there once we get the cams locked in. All right, let's get these locked down, otherwise we won't get a very good measurement here. Like that. Alright, valve clearances on this model. Intake are 0.003 to 0.005 inches, so intake right here, we'd be measuring these. And then the exhaust would be 0.006 to 0.008, so those are those. And I already measured both of them, and it looks like this one is a little bit big, this one's perfect, this one's perfect. I've got the 0.006 out, and you can feel it just rubbing. That's good, but this one's a little bit big. See, it slides right in. So we're gonna go up on the shim on that side and up on the shim on this side right here. So these two diagonal are good. These two need to go up on the sides of the shim. All right, everything is in spec. If you look at there, you can see it's timed. There's the T mark in there. And then coming over here, we can see the lines parallel to the head. You can see the arrow going up right there with the number 2, an arrow going this way, arrow going that way, arrow going up, number 3, arrow going that way. And that's how you know it's in time. Everything is perfect, valves are in spec. So let's get the valve cover back on, get this engine mount on, the carburetor, get some coolant in this thing, and attempt to start it for the first time. Hopefully it runs. We gotta get some oil in there as well. So lots to do yet, but it's coming along. All right, we're gonna put a little coolant in there. The pipe is all on and everything, so let's see what happens. Alright, to bleed the system of the coolant, you can leave that thing open. That cap open. We've got oil in it, I put oil in it, so all we need is the battery charger on there. Alright, here we go. Guess we need the gas tank hooked up too. Alright, here we go. Oh, we don't have that line. That's probably why. We didn't have that line connected. What was that? far so good. No leaking or anything. Sounding pretty good. So I think that's fixed. Awesome. Well, we'll pick up and get everything back on the quad and see what happens here. Maybe take her for a quick spin. All right, everything is back on the quad, all set to go. Everything works the way it should. So, this thing's ready to rip, ready to go. Let's quick start her up one more time, just to let her warm up, see if we have any leaks, and then we'll go from there. Leaking yet. Alright guys, it's getting a little bit too dark to take for a ride, but maybe next video we'll do a quick ride on it just to make sure it all works and runs perfect. But it sounds amazing. The valves are doing their job, closing perfectly. We had brand new valve seals, brand new cam chain, and everything sounds really, really good in the engine. So I'm pretty sure it's going to last a long time. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the build on this thing. We figured out what was causing it to bend the valves. That nut came off the side cover, and the Woodruff key came out with it, and then allowed that cam chain gear to spin, causing it to come on at a time. And that's why the valves were all bent. So at least we figured it out, and now we can kind of rest easy at night knowing that that was the culprit, and it wasn't something else that was bigger. So anyway guys, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, stay tuned for next video. Next time we are out.